We get a lot of phone calls about retaliation at my law office, and there seems to be a lot of confusion as to what constitutes illegal retaliation in the employment context. Generally in California, private employers can terminate anyone for any reason, unless the reason's illegal or the person is protected by a contract or union agreement. So a private employer can fire you for ridiculous reasons such as the color of your shoes, or the type of car you drive, or maybe because you're smarter than your boss. However, generally speaking, they can't fire you for complaining about illegal company activity, and they can't fire you for refusing to participate in illegal activity. Some examples include complaining about unsafe work conditions, or complaining about not receiving your pay or not receiving your overtime, or refusing to follow hiring and firing procedures that discriminate against minorities or gender, or complaining about being sexually harassed, or complaining that the company is overbilling the government. These are just some examples of complaints that are protected. There's a whole lot more. Now, usually a company will give a false reason when they fire someone due to illegal retaliation. They're not going to say, we're firing you to retaliate against you for complaining about us overbilling the government. No, they're going to say it's a layoff, or they're going to write you up and say you had bad performance. So how do you prove that the real reason is retaliation and not, the reason that they give? Well, probably the most important thing is the closeness in time. The closer the retaliation is to the complaint, the stronger the link. So if somebody complains and 5 minutes later they're fired, that's a pretty strong link. That's pretty good evidence that they got fired because of their complaint. However, if it takes 3 years before they get fired, it's a pretty weak link. You're not going to be able to use that evidence to prove that 3 years later they fired you. You also look at, was the person a good employee prior to the complaint? And then immediately after, suddenly the employee starts getting write-ups and reprimands. Another thing you look at is how long had the employee worked there? If they had worked there many years and then suddenly out of the blue they're fired right after making a complaint, that's pretty good evidence. Another thing is if you can prove that the reason that the company gives is false, that there was no layoff, or it's a layoff of one, or that they're advertising for your job position right after telling you that they don't have work for you. Those are the kinds of things that you can prove to be false. Now, there are a lot of different kinds of retaliation cases, and you should seek an attorney's help if you think you've been retaliated against. But keep in mind, you should always put your complaints in writing and keep a copy, because the employer might later deny that you ever even complained. Thank you.